Rock and roll. It was the top music for over 40 years as it began in the 1960s after the success of jazz. But rock and roll's more hardcore brother is now out to play, and that's metal. Metal music began its stardom in the 1970s with bands like Metallica, Iron Maiden, and Black Sabbath. These bands affected the whole world as their heavy metal music developed a thick, massive sound, characterized by highly amplified distortion, extended guitar solos, emphatic beats, and overall loudness. Not to forget the insanely epic pits they do at concerts. Our two guests today are members of a local metal band straight out of Waterbury who have had hundreds of concerts and gigs throughout the tri-state area. The Humanities Mass Communication Department at Norwalk Community College presents Person to Person, the show that introduces you to some of the most interesting people you've never met. And now join our host, Jessica Duraco.
Thank you for joining us on another brand new edition of Person to Person. All the people in today's program are part of the film and TV production course and are directing, switching, controlling audio, and operating cameras. The students who are not on camera are behind the scenes, working hard to bring this rocking program to you with as few mistakes as possible. This program allows students to go out into the community and interview someone with an interesting story to share. Today, we are here with our very own local metal band from Waterbury, Connecticut. This is Continuum and their lead vocalist, Brenda St. Amant, and bass guitar star, Tony Micah. It's nice to have you guys here today.
It's nice to be here.
Thanks.
Yes. So, how did both of you get involved with metal music?
Well, I've been listening to metal my whole life and playing guitar for a long time as well. So I always wanted to play in a band, so played in bands my whole life as well. So
Yeah.
I actually started singing in jam bands and doing rock music, but then friends of mine, new friends of theirs, and that's how I
Everything
auditioned for the
worked
band.
out.
Yeah, I didn't even know I could scream heavy until I joined this band.
So,
that was
what
fun.
are your favorite bands, personally?
Personally?
well, I grew up on the classics, you know, Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden, like you mentioned, Judas Priest, and I like a lot of new stuff as well. So a lot of the newer bands.
I'm probably more like most into like In Flames and Scar Cemetery right now, and Assemblage 23, which is not metal, but it's all right. Look them up; they're awesome.
So, for this band, how did you determine the name Continuum? And also, who was the starter of this band?
I would say Brian was probably
Brian and Darren, our
They
drummer
kinda
and
started
guitar
it.
player. Yeah, they
They've been
started
in
it.
other bands, and this was like a continuation of them. So they're like, it's a continuum, and that's kind of how they got the name. So the name was sort of in place by the time him and I came into the band.
That's so
Yeah, I
cool.
played in bands with them when we were younger.
Yeah.
So as we got older, they wanted to keep playing, so that's how the name. Something
Yeah,
like that. Like you just said.
everybody that plays in the band except for me has played in bands with each other since like high school.
Pretty much.
Easily.
So
Yeah.
it's all like interrelated.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
So cool. So what was your first gig and what was it like?
It was a little shoebox of a bar called Bix in Guilford, Brantford, one of the Fords.
Brantford. I think.
Brantford, yeah. It does not exist anymore. They found lead in the ceiling and closed the place down. But that was our first. It was nuts to butts in there. It was so packed. And they didn't have a stage. We were just kind of like tucked into a tiny little corner. It was awesome.
It was
I liked
awesome.
It was.
We've been rolling ever since.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
10 years now. 10 years almost.
Did you feel like you had sort of found something really good when you were starting to perform with this band?
Yeah, I think all of us were like, oh man, this band actually does things.
Well, I wasn't even an original member, and Brian, the guitar player, was really trying to get me to join the band. And so until I came and watched them rehearse, and I was blown away with Brenda and just the band. So it wasn't an easy sell just listening over the phone and stuff, but when I saw them live, I knew something was special.
Yeah. Speaking of the other members of the band, obviously they couldn't be here today because of their busy schedules. How do you guys fit practice into your, daily lives?
Well, I feel like anytime you want to do something, you find a way to make it happen. It just so
commitment.
happened that we were able to coordinate on the same day, and we practice every Friday, every week,
Yeah.
unless we have a show. And you just make time for it. There's always going to be something else you could be doing, but for us, I feel like music is something we almost have to do to keep us level as people.
Yeah.
So,
Sure,
so
definitely.
you find a way to do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like finding time for the gym. Obviously, we don't find a lot of time for that, but we find time for music, and that's cool.
Always, yeah.
Do you feel like it's, your passion?
I think
music?
it's my passion for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd be lost without it for sure.
it's almost like therapy in a way because
Yeah.
I mean, for me lyrically, like if something is weighing on my soul, I have a tendency, even if I don't intend to kind of get it out lyrically. So it's sort of nice.
So, out of the songs that you have written and played together, what do you think is your favorite?
Our favorite recorded song is probably Faith Absolves, but we have a new song that we don't have any recordings of left. It's called Chronophobe. It's going to be the title track off of our next album, and that right now is currently my favorite song. I think that happens every time we write a new album.
I think every time you write a new album,
Yeah.
that's your favorite stuff because it's the
Favorite
newest.
stuff, yeah.
But-
This one really is my favorite, I swear.
Yeah. Also, we do have a clip of one of the songs, so let's take a listen.
Oh, awesome. Oh, they switched it up.
You switched it up.
This is...
So, when you guys are about to perform, how do you get into the zone and feel comfortable to go out on stage?
Well, I am very fidgety. I'm
Yeah,
like
I think-
walking around. And
I think
that's
the
me.
waiting is the waiting is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Especially like when the band that's on before you're on, you're just like, okay, I'm ready.
Do you feel like your on-stage persona differs from your regular persona, or do you feel like you just sort of do the same sort of things?
I think my onstage persona is definitely different than
Yeah.
like naturally I'm a little more reserved of a person. I mean, I wouldn't call myself shy, but I definitely am not like, look at me. But when I get on stage, that's another thing. Yeah, I'm performing, like you have to engage the crowd. You just can't be like, don't look at me because I'm up there. I want you to look at me.
Yeah. And for you?
Same, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Tony
totally
gets
different.
crazy.
I get crazy.
get
Normally I'm
crazy.
just I'm quiet in real life.
See this chip in my tooth? That's Tony right there.
It is.
Took that right to my face.
Right, yeah, just,
It was awesome.
sorry about that.
What concert do you think stands out to you as your favorite that you've ever performed, and the best also that you've ever performed?
I would say Toad's Place.
Yeah.
Toad's Place last winter, I want to
Yeah.
say we played there. It was one of those Opus Palooza fests that Opus, the drummer from Dead by Wednesday, puts on every year. And we just had a really tight set, and the crowd was great, and I don't know, we looked hot that day. And
That one and
we sounded
one
good.
of the Webster show when we opened for a band called Seven Dust in Lacuna
Oh,
Coil.
yeah, that
we
was a
played
good one,
the
too.
smaller stage, but it was
was
just
like
really crowded, packed.
all the way out. And
And
they
it's
opened
just-
the door, and the people stayed. And that's
They didn't,
kind of like something when you're in a band.
Yeah.
Because usually, I don't know if you've been to the Webster before. It's a big theater, and they have this little side room that they'll do smaller bands in before the main stage opens up. And they were like, okay, we can either put you first on the main stage or last on the small stage. And we're like, well, we'll take the small stage because it's better sound in there. And it was packed when we went on, but like 2 songs in, they opened this like garage door looking thing that opens up into the main room, and I was like, oh God, we're gonna lose them. They're gonna go, but they stayed.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, they stayed. Because it's
remember that
always
show.
amazing to us when people
Yeah.
like what we love.
Yeah.
Of course, you love what you love, but when somebody else likes it, they're like, oh God, they like it. What's
Yeah.
up with that?
Yeah. Do you feel like people discover you through your concerts or online, or?
I would say we've probably gotten most fans through live.
Live, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we get a little bit online, but like, so much crap is thrown at you online nowadays. I mean, how many times you're like, okay, I'll like my friend's band, but you don't really go and listen to it and like it. You're just like, okay, I want to support them. So I feel like we get the most real fans from being out there and showing the music to people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for coming here today. This was really great. So,
Thanks for having us.
of course. Today, we got to meet two amazing and talented metal musicians who are having a fan base grow day by day. We would like to say thanks to both Brenda and Tony for joining us today. Thanks again. You guys were great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We hope you enjoyed our sit down with two members of the band Continuum. Please go check out their Facebook page for more information on up and coming shows. And we hope you continue to join us each week to watch our progress. Thank you and have a great day.
We're Brenda St. Amant and Tony Micah. I'm your announcer, Alan Smithy. Person to Person is a Norwalk Community College student production.